What if groundlessness is the answer? You've been told to get grounded, to find your purpose, to define your identity. But what if being anchored is what's keeping you stuck? Let's be honest, our modern world is obsessed with certainty. We want to know who we are. We want to know what's next. We want to plant flags in belief systems, careers, titles, even Instagram bios. We think anchoring ourselves brings peace. But for many, it brings pressure, rigidity, stress, a quiet fear of being lost if that anchor ever gets pulled. This chapter of the Tao Te Ching, chapter 20, flips that whole idea upside down. Laozi says, "I am buoyant as if anchored nowhere," and in that one line, he offers us a new superpower, rootlessness, not as confusion, but as freedom. Today's lesson is going to guide you there. Chapter 20, Tao Te Ching. Detach from learning and you have no worries. How far apart are yes and yeah? How far apart are good and bad? The things people fear cannot but be feared. Wild indeed, the uncentered. Most people celebrate as if they were barbecuing a slaughtered cow or taking in the springtime vistas. I alone am aloof, showing no sign, like an infant that doesn't yet smile, riding buoyantly as if with nowhere to go. Most people have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus in its unadulterated simplicity. Ordinary people try to shine. I alone seem to be dark. Ordinary people try to be on the alert. I alone am unobtrusive, calm as the ocean depths, buoyant as if anchored nowhere. Most people have ways and means. I alone am unsophisticated and simple. I alone am different from people in that I value seeking food from the mother. This chapter is not about nihilism. It's about releasing mental clinging so we can find peace without the need to grasp. Think of how we anchor ourselves today to identities. I'm a coach, I'm a winner, I'm a father, I'm a black belt. To outcomes, I need this result to feel okay. To beliefs, if this idea gets challenged, I feel threatened. Anchors are helpful until the tide rises. Then they become chains. Most people have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. Laozi's not saying he lacks worth. He's saying he's not weighed down by what others are chasing. This is where stress begins for most people. The pressure to know, the addiction to performance, the compulsion to define and defend a self-image. We think these anchors make us strong, but Laozi is showing us a path that's lighter, freer. I worked with a competitive swimmer once, national level. She had the same routine every race: slap the arms 3 times, spin her arms 4 times, look at her coach and nod. Say her mantra exactly 5 times under her breath. These anchors gave her control until they didn't. At a championship meet, her goggles broke seconds before stepping up to the block. Her routine was disrupted. She panicked. Her breath shortened. Her mind spiraled. She placed last. Afterward, she said, "It wasn't even the goggles. It was that everything I depended on to feel okay was gone." So we did the work. We built a practice around anchoring nowhere, letting go of rituals, embracing improvisation, meditative breath, presence, flow. Months later, she swam her personal best, barefoot, no music, no coach nearby, and said, "I didn't need anything. I was just there, floating." Laozi starts bold. Detach from learning and you have no worries. He's not anti-growth. He's anti-clutter. This is a reminder for those of us addicted to input. The next podcast, the next book, the next quote, the next technique. But mental programming without embodiment creates mental constipation. You know more, but feel less clear. You have more insight, but trust yourself less. Letting go of mental attachment is where peace lives, and peace is the foundation of true performance, creativity, and resilience. Buoyancy as power. This is the line that defines this lesson. I am buoyant, as if anchored nowhere. Picture it, a leaf on a river. unafraid, a jellyfish in the current, soft but moved by something deeper, a martial artist responding, not reacting. This is not collapse. This is yielded power. Laozi isn't disconnected. He's unattached. Most people fear this. If I let go, I'll drift into nothing. But here's the paradox. The more you release the need to cling, the more you find your true center. That's buoyancy. You can't be held down because you're not trying to hold anything up. My own rootless reset. There was a season in my life when I felt like I was juggling 10 roles. Leader of a studio, author, father, martial artist, coach, creator, visionary, marketer, manager, husband. Each role had its own identity, its own expectations, its own anchors, and some days I felt like I was drowning under all of it. Then one morning during Qigong practice, I stopped halfway through a set and asked, who am I without these roles? I stood in stillness. I breathed. And something inside said, you're the space they all flow through. That moment changed my practice. I started to practice anchoring nowhere, not as rejection, but as reset. That's when things got lighter, more spontaneous, more close to the Tao. And guess what? Performance went up, creativity flowed, stress fell away. Why? Because the self holding all the weight let go. Check out these practice ideas, building buoyant mindset. Let's make this real with two powerful integrations. Practice 1, the anchor audit. Ask yourself, where am I overly anchored? Write down 3 anchors that define you too tightly right now. Examples: needing to succeed at this next project to feel enough, identifying as the best or the strong one, and fearing failure. Clinging to a certain meditation, movement, or productivity ritual. Then ask, what happens if I release that, just for today? Feel what loosens. You don't have to destroy the anchor, just float above it. Practice 2, the floating breath. Use this whenever stress or tightness grips you. Instructions: sit or lie down. Inhale through your nose slowly for 5 counts. Exhale with a soft "fef" sound for 8 counts. With each exhale, imagine part of your identity melting into space. With each inhale, feel yourself buoyant, not drifting, but supported. Repeat for 10 rounds. Then sit in silence for 2 minutes. Let thoughts rise and fall like waves. No control, no fixing, just floating. The last line in chapter 20 is the root of it all. I alone am different from people in that I value seeking food from the mother. This is the Tao, the source, the original pulse of being, the energy behind performance, identity, and thought. Everyone else is out chasing meaning. Laozi is sipping from the root. Let that be your reminder. You don't need to hold it all together. You don't need to define yourself to feel safe. You don't need to anchor to anything to stay afloat. Let go, breathe, float. That is where your power lives. This week, try living one day as if you're anchored nowhere. Let your breath guide you. Let simplicity lead. Let go of one thing you're clinging to and see what rises in its place. And remember, when you stop needing to be someone, you discover who you truly are. That's the Tao. That's the practice. That's the freedom waiting for you just beneath the surface.